Hey everyone, and welcome to this explainer. If you're someone who relies on your mobile phone to manage your money, pay for services, or just send funds to family, you are absolutely going to want to pay very close attention today. We're looking at a massive structural shift coming to Nigeria's digital banking system, spearheaded by the Central Bank of Nigeria. We're going to break down exactly what this means for you, your money, and your daily routine, using the specific details from the CBN's newly announced Digital Banking Security Framework. Okay, let's dive into this.
So what actually happens to your banking app on July 1? It's pretty easy to hear about macro-level banking regulations and just kind of tune them out as something that only affects suits in high-rise buildings. But this new framework, it's completely different. We are shifting right away from those macro regulations directly to the micro impact, the impact sitting right there in your pocket. This is literally about the very app you probably tap on several times a day. Your daily digital routine is about to change big time.
And here is the exact date you need to circle on your calendar. July 1, 2026. Now, this isn't just a suggestion, and it's definitely not one of those slow, phased rollouts you can just ignore for years. This is a hard deadline set by the Central Bank of Nigeria. By this date, this entirely new security framework must take effect across all banks, all fintechs, and all payment service providers in the country. Millions of Nigerians who use mobile banking and instant payment platforms are going to be operating under a totally new set of rules from this day forward.
To give you a real sense of just how direct these changes are, let's talk about the number 20,000 naira. This right here might be the most surprising new friction point for a lot of users. Under the new CBN mandate, there's going to be a strict transaction limit of 20,000 naira temporarily slapped on your account under certain conditions. Imagine trying to make a big purchase or pay a large bill, only to find your app is capped. Crazy, right? Well, why would the bank do this? It all actually ties back to the security of your physical device.
Section 1. The friction. Your app changes. Here is the biggest speed bump, the one device at a time rule. This is a mandate ensuring your banking application will only be active on a single device at any given time. So what does that mean in practice? Well, if you're the kind of person who likes to check your balance on your smartphone while commuting, but then initiate transfers from a tablet when you get home, yeah, that simultaneous logging will no longer be permitted. Your financial identity is now going to be tied to one single active piece of hardware at a time.
Let's break down the exact sequence of events when you do actually need to switch phones. Say you buy a slick new phone, or maybe you just reinstall your banking app. Step 1, you've got a new device. Step 2, you can't just log in with your old password and start transferring millions anymore. Nope. The financial institution is now mandated to carry out fresh authentication checks before full access is restored. They have to prove it's really you. And step 3, even after you pass those checks, remember that 20,000 naira cap we talked about? Newly activated devices will face a strict transaction limit of 20,000 naira for the first 24 hours. It's an intentional 24-hour cooling-off period, specifically designed to stop a fraudster from draining your account the second they gain access to a new device.
Section 2. The power shift, taking back your control. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how we pivot from that perceived friction to the unprecedented control you are actually gaining.
Under this new framework, financial institutions must provide you with a choice. You can opt in, meaning your instant online transfers remain fully active, exactly like you're used to, or you can opt out. If you go with the opt-out route, your online instant transfers are completely blocked. It's basically an ultimate user-controlled kill switch for online exposure. If you opt out, your funds literally cannot be moved over the internet. You can still access your money, of course, but it requires a physical visit to the bank. It's really the highest possible level of security for anyone who wants it. But hey, what if you want to keep using online banking, just with your own personalized safety net? Well, the framework mandates that customers will be allowed to set personal transaction limits way below the existing regulatory ceilings. This is honestly fantastic. If the government ceiling is, say, millions of naira, but you know for a fact you never transfer more than 50,000 in a single day, you can manually lower your own limit to 50,000. It adds this extra, highly personalized layer of fraud protection that a hacker simply cannot bypass without physically getting in and altering your account settings.
Section 3. The guardrails, the bank's new burden.
This new rule places a much heavier burden squarely on the shoulders of the banks, fintechs, and payment service providers. Behind the scenes, they have to proactively protect the system by implementing improved real-time transaction monitoring to catch suspicious activity the literal second it happens. They also have to enforce way tighter account opening and reactivation procedures and roll out much stronger identity verification processes. So they aren't just facilitating your transfers anymore, they are actively guarding the gates at every single entry point.
So, the crucial point is understanding exactly why this massive overhaul is happening in the first place. The CBN is targeting a very specific most wanted list of crimes. SIM swap fraud, which is where someone hijacks your phone number to intercept your banking PINs. Account takeovers, identity theft. These forms of digital financial crime have become incredibly common as electronic payments have spread like wildfire across Nigeria. The whole goal of this framework is to hunt down and completely eradicate these specific vulnerabilities.
Section 4. The payoff. Convenience versus security.
Let's weigh these two new realities against each other. On one side, you've got temporary inconvenience, jumping through a few extra hoops for reauthentication or dealing with that 24-hour limit of 20,000 naira when you buy a new phone. But on the flip side, you have permanent protection, the eradication of account takeovers and preventing the absolute devastation of having your life savings stolen by digital thieves. And this brilliantly illustrates the core philosophy behind the CBN's new rule. A slight hassle for people who change phones frequently is a really small price to pay to stop financial criminals right in their tracks.
To sum up the overarching reality for millions of Nigerians right now, this framework aims to create, quote, a safer but more controlled digital banking experience. And that word controlled is absolutely key. The Wild West days of frictionless but super vulnerable digital transfers, those are ending. However, the success of this entire policy relies completely on execution. It's going to depend on how effectively the financial institutions actually implement these changes behind the scenes, and honestly, just as importantly, how clearly they educate their customers ahead of that July 2026 deadline.
So I want to leave you with this final provocative thought. Is a little inconvenience worth peace of mind? When July 1, 2026 finally rolls around and you find yourself waiting 24 hours to make a big transfer on your brand new phone, just remember what that friction actually represents. It represents a locked door that a fraudster couldn't open. As we move toward a more heavily fortified digital economy, we all have to reconsider that balance between seamless, instantaneous convenience and ultimate financial security. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer. I highly encourage you to check with your specific bank as we get closer to the deadline to see exactly how you can set up your own personalized protections.
Please like, share, and subscribe to Master Sense by Faraday, and turn on notifications so you don't miss new and upcoming videos. Drop a comment below and tell us what you'd like to see next.